Hello, ladies and gents, Terrell here. We have a new car in. It is a 2006 or 7 Diagnose. It's white, 215,000 miles on the chassis, whatever. It looks pretty clean. It's got a front mount but no pipes, just a top mount. A couple of mods done, but I'll go ahead and show you. This is the before, so I said a nice little white Hawkeye. She smells like oil. She's got leaves everywhere, completely dirty. And the complaint is he thinks the head gaskets are out. I guess it overheats. So we're gonna do some diag. I'm gonna look underneath and see if it's leaking visually, and then check and see if that cap's leaking and see what I expect it is going to be, and see if I can diagnose head gaskets on this guy. Let's do an initial little under the car inspection with the camera. See what we can see. The water pump is pissing. That's probably where all the overheating is coming from. The head gaskets visually. So looking underneath the car, I can see the water pump thermostat area. The gasket's like pinched and it's clearly pissing. Let's go ahead and check out the radiator. Let's see here. Oh, okay. There's no coolant in there. That's good to know. So that's probably at least where a lot of overheating is coming from. Now the head gaskets below did look wet. I would say I'm probably gonna do head gaskets because of the mileage on this car just to be safe. But I don't know if they're actually blown or not. Alright, good morning. We are on this white 06 or 07 Diagnose. I still gotta look up the year to be sure. Just currently pulling the spark plugs and the coil packs out. I want to do a compression test, see where the baseline numbers are. But I gotta show you one of the spark plugs that I just pulled out. I can't believe this car was running. This is cylinder number 2. That's unreal. And we go and pull number 1 and 3 out and do a compression test. Alright. There's number 2, number 4, number 1, and number 3. They're pretty bad. I would say this car is about 220,000 miles. The spark plugs maybe were changed once. If not, these might be the OEM, honestly, original plugs with how massive that gap is. Alright, just performed the compression test. The numbers are about 100, 100, 110 and about 105. So it's pretty close across the board, but I think I'm gonna end up getting piston rings in this thing just to be safe. I'm gonna check the bottom end, make sure I don't have any play, and then I'm going to do, obviously, head gaskets is one of the reasons why it's here. But I will go and pull this engine, and then I'll show you the teardown afterwards once the engine's out. Alright, it is ready to pull this motor out. I'm gonna just show you what I found so far. Just one small tear in the line, otherwise she doesn't look terrible, just really leaky. So far, you can see it's pretty coated in oil everywhere. This line back here has a small hole in it, but just a lot of leaves and a lot of, let's see how this oil looks. Black, nothing shiny yet. I waited till the daylight to get this motor out, but she's just about out. So I got the tread picker on, go ahead and pull it out, and then I'll go ahead and start disassembling. Alright, motor is out now. See how nasty it is. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the intake off, the exhaust off, timing stuff, both valve covers, clutch. I'll show you when I get all that off next video here. I just got all 4 cam gears luckily broke loose. And now I'm gonna go ahead and pull all the timing stuff off. That went a lot nicer than expected. This came off super smoothly and quickly. So all the timing stuff's there. It's all empty in the front. I'm gonna pull off the water pump. Probably the oil pump to at least make sure it's okay. Valve covers, and exhaust, and intake. When I pull that engine apart, one of the first things I usually look for is I pull off valve covers and I check and see if it has headsets, just because obviously it saves us money if we don't have to buy new headsets. But fortunately this one does not. It has stock head bolts. Him and I decided we're going to do head studs, so I'll install those once this is done. But anyhow, I'll continue on, and then I'll just probably show you when all this is removed, because I've showed you on other videos on how I do all the rest of this. She's looking almost like a different engine. Kind of, sort of. Intake's off, exhaust is off. Next step, we gotta get that valve cover off. Gotta get these lines off, that line off right there, and then pull the cams off. Sorry. Then we gotta pull the head bolts out, and then both heads off. This one has air pumps, so I gotta pull the air pump bolts off. There are 210s on the passenger side, and on the driver's side is 212s. All right, cylinder head number 1 is about to come off. I have literally 1 bolt left. This thing should technically start to fall off. I keep it up. Okay, now pull this head off. Come on, baby, come on. Oh, I still got 1 bolt left. Whoops, daisy. All right, head is off. Some interesting looking orange gaskets on here. This leak checked and make sure it's all good to go, but I don't know, I guess it could be blown. It's really hard to tell. Go ahead and set this thing down. Pull you off the stand. Let's see how she looks on the inside. Whoa! Those cylinder walls are pretty nasty. It's like a rust almost, but, well, I guess the inside coolant passages. However, we're gonna do some new rings, but they don't look too bad in here. No damage initially. All right, I got 1 more head to pull off this engine. It is the passenger side head. Once that's off, I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to clean this block off and get these heads over to machine shop, make sure they're good to use, and then get the pistons out. See if I can get that all on this video. I'm probably gonna stop this video with this block just disassembled and make sure everything's good and usable. All right, pulling this passenger side head off. Whew. Look underneath when we can. Not terrible. We got a leaf here, but valves don't look terrible from what I can tell. So I get this thing vacuum checked and or leak checked and resurfaced. Side, same thing. Orange coolant, I'm not really sure why, but anyhow, gotta get the pistons out next. At least I got that head off finally. You got air pump. This is where the barometric pressure sensor is, I believe. And then we got the secondary air pump thing. Actually, the air pump's on the side of the car, but these are like the somethings. And anyways, I'm gonna remove both of those and the pipe that comes along here, and then the coolant crossover pipe that comes along here, and get this top end empty as well. And now she's naked. Got everything off except for obviously this AC bracket, the oil pump, the PCV drain, and then the bracket for the top of the transmission back there. But everything else is off. I'm gonna get the flywheel off and then get these, gotta remove this piece right here and then this one right here, and I can get the pistons out on the and the rear ones like that, and then get the pistons out. All right, flywheel is off. Look at the back, looks great. Looks like somebody just did a rear main, to be honest. Looks like someone just resealed this, which sucks because I'm gonna reseal it again, but at least it's not leaking back here. I'd say this has less than 50,000 miles on each of these. It's definitely been cleaned at least once. But I'm still gonna pull the pistons out and inspect the rings and stuff, because obviously someone didn't reseal anything, they just did glitch. If you wanna work on a Subaru and you don't have one of these impact screwdriver things, you have to have one pretty much to get these back ones off, otherwise they always strip. You just hit it really hard and then they break loose just like that. I'm not sure if I've showed you how to pull pistons out of a Subaru block, but I'm just gonna time lapse it so you can see the process of getting them all out, and then we'll look at all individually and see if they're usable or see if there's any cracks on them. All right, I'll show you the insides. The rods look okay, a little dark here oiling wise, but not bad. They feel fine, there's no in and out play at all. There's a little bit of side to side like normal, and they all rotate up and down pretty decently fine. Not real worried about the rods. I think we're gonna be okay. I really don't feel anything dangerous, and all of them are the right color. They're not hot or anything else.
And looking at the pistons, all 4 of them are pretty decent. I'll show you kind of slow-mo a little bit here. There's no obvious cracks. Definitely lots of sludge. These rings weren't holding super well any longer. That's why we had low compression, or lower. But I don't see any cracks on any of them. I'll take pictures just so I can know for a fact. But no obvious like cracking, and I can show you an obvious. As far as cracking, you can see on this piston it has a crack right there. It's a pretty obvious line that does not go away. And all of these pistons look okay. Not too much detonation or anything. They look all right. So I think we're gonna be able to use these pistons, get new piston rings in. Next video, I will be cleaning this block up and then getting it ready to obviously assemble. So, welcome back to this 2006 WRX. We have actually made a slight change in plans. So I've been thinking a lot, and this thing has like 215,000 miles on it, and as any of you may know, Subarus occasionally have issues with rod bearings. It doesn't have any right now, but I don't want any chance of having any issues after the compression and everything else is back. So I actually just ordered a rod and main bearings and all the seals for the inside. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this short block the rest of the way apart and inspect everything and just rebuild it so he has a fresh new engine basically. I'm gonna start by taking the motor mounts off, this engine lift piece off, this engine lift piece right here off, and then I'm gonna take this bolt out and this baffle off, the 1 to 10 millimeter down there, and then all of the rest of the bolts on the block and separate it. And the oil pump as well, I can't forget about that. I'm gonna do this off camera. I'll just have it split, and then I'll end up recording when I put the rods on the crank and the crank back in and getting all this back together. This will all be one long video, but I want to do it all in just one. All right, once you get this 12 here off, the 10 in the oil pan area, and then you have 12, 12, and 12, 12, 12, and 12. They're all 12 points as well. And 2 on this side. And you have 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12, and 12 off. Then you can go ahead and split the block halves. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, just split the block halves, and the main bearings look wonderful on both. On the rods, however, they were definitely getting towards the end of life. So if you can see a little bit of hot spotty up in there. All the rods are pretty similar. They got a little bit of darkness on the sides, like they're definitely wearing. But they look pretty good for the age, but I am glad I'm doing new rod bearings. You can see the crank journals. None of them look bad at all. Just have the nice where it's been sitting, but nothing catches a fingernail. I'm gonna drop this crank off tomorrow morning or Monday at the machine shop just to get Mike to make sure that they don't see any ovaling or anything. Make sure it's good to go. We'll go ahead and put these rods back on the crank, torque them all down, put the crank back in the block, make sure everything is bolting up smoothly and rotates smoothly, and clearances are all set, and then reassemble this whole block and put the pistons in. Alrighty, parts are showing up slowly. I have a couple of parts left that aren't here yet. And then the heads are still getting machined, but once they're here, I can start putting this block back together. Today, I am going to do a little time lapse and cleaning video of this engine bay and probably of the car, so that you'll see just how terrible it looks and then how it looks at the end. This is how she's starting. Disgusting interior. Tops, sides, oil everywhere. Everything's pretty much just covered. So we're gonna see if we can remove all this and make this look significantly better. I think I'm gonna start by spraying this engine bay with the new pressure washer I got. Get nice and wet in there, and then spray with some degreaser. Let it soak in a bunch, and then spray it off again, and let's see how that works. Som da sua voz sussurra no meu ouvido. Cada toque seu me deixa perdido. See, the sides look significantly better. It's still not perfect, but I got all the nastiness off there. Looks much better, much cleaner. I think I'll be pretty happy with this, and I am as well. I just cleaned the engine bay, or the engine block. I'll put a picture up right here, how it looked before. And now look how it looks. Got as much as I possibly could off. This stuff is just caked on to the max, but she looks significantly better. And the box just showed up with more parts in it. This is the before. There's first piston done pretty much. No cracks on the sides. Move on to the next piston now. All right, I just had a call. The crankshaft is done, so I'm gonna go to the machine shop and get the crankshaft for this WRX, and then we'll start the reassembly process. All right, there's our freshly polished crankshaft. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on the table here. Take all the bearings out of these old rods, and then start assembling them on the crank. For this build, like any other, I'll be cleaning all the oil off the inside of these rods in here. Starting with one bearing at a time, and install some assembly lube across here, and then installing it on here and making sure that this little arrow points towards the front of the crankshaft. This rod feels absolutely perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and do this one next, this guy. And just installed the orange coolant O-ring, and then the two back oil ones. I need to install the one right there, and then silicone both sides. I'll show you how that looks. And then I got all new main bearings. I'm gonna go ahead and install on that side. All right, all the silicone has been installed. Now I'm gonna go ahead and drop this half on top of here once I get the crank in, and I'll show you all that. Number 1 and number 3 are both down, and number 2 and 4 are up. Here's number 2. And here's number 4. That's in. I just tightened down these 2 bolts and these 2 bolts just to make sure everything's stuck together. And look at this. Gorgeous. All right, I'm gonna start putting all the bolts in, torque these things down, and just keep building this thing up. After these are all torqued down, we'll work on the pistons usually. Now, I always go by the Subaru torque specs that are OEM. I torque them all off camera, but the 2 that go in here are gonna be 14 foot-pounds, 14.8. On this side, same thing, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, 14. This one and this one are gonna be about 10.8. And then all the rest of these are about 18. And once you do all these and all of those, you also do a torque to yield at 90 degrees. All right, short block is torqued down, so it spins very freely. I just installed the rear main seal and then installed this lower 10mm bolt. I gotta get that tight and get this 12mm tight. And then I just gotta start assembling more. Probably pistons next, like I said, and then oil pan, pickup, all that kind of good stuff. If you don't already know this about Subarus, right here on the block, it shows A, B, and then it's hard to see, but it also says A and then B right there. So that's actually where the pistons are supposed to go from the factory. Oh, since this side said A, B in that order, these two will go in, and I'm gonna make sure that the end clip is in the inside on both of them, like that. That way we don't have any issues with end clips coming out while this car's running. Got all the rings on the first piston, and I just dropped her in. It's good, nice and easily goes down. I'm gonna go ahead and put the wrist pin in and get this side done. All right, number 3 is in and clipped in. Go ahead and move on number 2. See how easy this thing spins over. Look at that, by hand. That is minty. All right, boys and girls, the hardest one in my opinion is done. Number 1, really hard to see that, but I got the wrist pin in. There we go. Now we have a complete short block. Last wrist pin and clip is in. Go ahead and spin this over, make sure she feels smooth, and then I'm gonna start putting all the blocks off and start making this, I guess, a short block with accessories. She's currently upside down, but I got her on the stand. I got both motor mounts back on. I'm gonna go ahead and work on the oil pickup tube, baffle, and the oil pan. Okay, pickup and baffle are on. I forgot the oil pump, the oil pan I need to clean out. It's still pretty dirty. And I'll work on the oil pump next. I'm gonna go ahead and seal up this with silicone, and then get the O-ring on the block, and then bolt this on. All right, now the oil pump's on. Got the seal right inside of there, obviously on the back side, and nice and siliconed up. Probably will do heads next. All right, I am starting this morning by putting this passenger side head gasket on. I'm gonna put the head studs on next, get them all nice and tight, and then drop the head on. Open up a fresh set of ARP head studs. Gonna go ahead and install 6 of these in that side. Always make sure to, when you pull these out, inspect them and make sure you don't see any kind of cracks or any damage. See, there's a little bit of material in there. I'm gonna have to clean all these and make sure they're all good to go. All right, all 6 head studs are in. Now it's time to drop the head on. I'm just gonna make sure the head's nice and clean and I didn't miss anything, and then I'll slap that on, take the cams off, and start installing the nuts and washers for these. Just drop the head on, and cleaning all this stuff off the sides, just remove both of the half moon seals. This will be clean in just a moment, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put both cams. Not recording as much right now. I'm just trying to go sort of quick and get this motor done. But currently installing all the nuts that go on top of the studs, and I already put all the assembly lube on all the studs. Okay, got this side torqued down. Now, gotta put lube on all these shims and on top of these surfaces, and then I'm gonna install both cams, and then install some good old silicone, get this side done, besides valve cover. Somewhere on the surfaces. I just got that side all torqued down with new silicone on this, and then obviously the cams are in. I'm gonna go ahead and start on this side, putting this head gasket on and the head studs in and the head on, and just do it all over again. Head gasket's on. All right, all 6 head studs are in. Now it's time to just make sure this is all cleaned off and go ahead and drop this head on. All right, all the washers have been installed. Assembly lube, or fastener assembly lube, is on all the studs. Now I'm gonna install the nuts and torque this head down. Had to get a left arm workout there too. That was definitely more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. 2 of them turned just a hair, and then they actually clicked finally. Anyhow, now I gotta clean the tops of the cam cover off, and then put the cams on, and same thing again. Get this head done, and then start working on the block. Probably oil pan next. We are getting somewhere now. I got both the seals out of this crossover pipe O-ring area. Got the oil pan on nice and tight. So I'm probably gonna end up working on putting these both in, putting the line on for this side to here, and then start working on timing, I guess. Alright, currently bolting these things down. I got new crush washers, and then this one had the filter, so I removed it. It was obviously they get clogged, but putting these things down by hand starting, and then I'll go ahead and install this side as well. Alright, I got some crush washers on this line here. I got all 4 cam seals on, and then this cover on, water pump, and then the timing belt tensioner holder. And timing belt tensioner will go inside of here. I already swapped this pulley over. I've got to put the pulley on here, and then the one for the water pump on, and then go ahead and time this. And of course I got to install all 4 of the cam gears. Alright, I just got all 4 of the pulleys on. I'm going to go ahead and put the 3 idlers on that are left, and the timing belt tensioner, and then we'll go ahead and time this off camera, get that all done. Can't forget to put your coolant lines on that go from the water pump up to the coolant crossover area. I just installed both of those and the oil dipstick tube. They're both right there. They come up through here across the backside. I'm waiting to get a new one of these elbows tomorrow, and then this will all be done up here, and then I installed the oil dipstick tube right here with a bolt right there. I just got my coolant crossover pipe, the bend tube for this PCV system. I believe that's what it would be, or like crankcase venting. I just got the 2 O-rings and the coolant crossover, so I'm gonna go ahead and install all that. And then the intake manifold should be next. There's 1 O-ring in, there's number 2 O-ring in, and then this elbow I'm gonna install in just a moment. All right, new PVC pipe is on right back here. Got the turbo on. Next I'm gonna put the intake manifold on, and then lift this. Put the clutch on, this back plate on, and this back plate on, and then she's ready to drop in the car. I did a bunch off camera, but the intake manifold is now tight, turbo inlet's tight, all that good stuff. Currently working on valve covers, and I'm gonna throw spark plugs in, coil packs, and then ready to get this engine off the stand. Valve cover on the driver's side is now on. All these bolts are nice and tight. Got the gasket on. We're going to move on to the passenger side. Alright, I got the engine on the lift. And you got this back plate on here, and just got this one sealed. Now I'm gonna go and put the flywheel on, clutch, pressure plate, and then it should be ready to drop in the car. I just installed the pressure plate, and the oil bearing is nice and even inside of here, so she's ready to drop back in the car. I'm gonna move the car backwards, lift it up in the air, and then drop this motor in and see how far I can get today. That car has been moved. It is now on the jacks, and the engine. And then once it's in, I'm gonna do something different. I'm just gonna put everything on and record as much as I can and not say any words, just showing you what I'm actually doing. Very difficult to record this part, but I'm gonna do my best. we go. Both sides fill in. And put the motor mount nuts, one right there and one right there. I need to tighten the downpipe bolts the rest of the way, and then put the intercooler on, and the battery, and then these boost control lines I'm gonna redo. She is about there. I'm also gonna clean out this air intake because this thing is disgusting. All right, I just got home and just got the intercooler on, and then the downpipe's tight now, and I got the boost control lines on. So I think the only thing that's left is I really want to try to clean this air filter, and then install a battery, and we already have oil, so we should be able to actually start this. I just primed it with the crankshaft unplugged, the sensor, and now I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in, check oil level, and then start it. Beautiful. So a little bit high, but good looking. Well, she started. You obviously heard how good she runs, and no leaks below. I'm gonna have to top off coolant. It's currently midnight, so I'm gonna have to do this in the morning. But I'll probably finish this video with just driving and making sure there's no issues, but it sounds amazing. Just started this morning and letting coolant bleed. I'm just gonna drive a little bit and just make sure I don't have any leaks. She's running smooth though. I just cleaned the air filter off, and then I'm gonna let this thing dry out in the sun. Obviously spray it down with water and soap and stuff to get all the nastiness out of it, and then I'm gonna install it in the car. Looking a lot better. She was absolutely disgusting before. I just got her out of the garage. I'm gonna go ahead and take her for her first drive. If you'd like any kind of a job done on your Subaru, whether it's head gaskets, a turbo swap, a basic inspection, or a full motor rebuild, please just send me a message. My Instagram is @TSTuned. Thank you.